Alright, House of Payne fans, apparently this is the penultimate episode because next week is the season finale for Season 10. But in this episode, we're focusing only on Season 10, Episode 21, entitled The First Day. Going to be honest here, wasn't really crazy about this episode, and mainly due to slight boredom as well as the Miranda storyline. It just felt like the Miranda thing was shoehorned in completely for the sake of drama. This was one of those, I feel like it was just written to meet the episode quota of the season. Now, if there are those of you who enjoyed the episode, by all means, remember this channel is just me voicing my opinions and then allowing you all to contribute in the comments section for healthy discussion. Maybe there's something about the episode that perhaps I didn't catch, but I just felt like I had a more difficult time getting through this episode than last week's. I mean, last week's episode, despite the fact I was not a fan at all for what they did with Calvin's character, at least when I watched it at double speed and I was done in like less than 10 minutes, I didn't miss a beat. I knew the episode flowed great. This episode, yeah, it had rough patches here and there, but before really breaking down the episode, which honestly shouldn't take that long because there's really only 2 story beats to it, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe as we close in on 200,000 subscribers. Follow me on social media, links are in the description below. And in order to not miss out when I post content on the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon and select all. That way you keep up to date when I do so. I mean, last night I uploaded over a dozen videos, and this morning I need to record about a dozen videos. So all that stuff needs to be done before Sisters tonight. So make sure you keep up. And also this morning we hit 197,000 subscribers. So now we are less than 3,000 away from 200, so let's do it before the end of the month. Now, I'm giving the episode a 4 out of 10. I know that's extremely low, but I do feel like that was a bit generous. Now, to be honest, I felt the first 6 minutes were rather stale and dry. So CJ's, he's doing some jumping jacks. Ella's in the kitchen. Complimenting him on his commitment to fitness. Basically, this is all about CJ going back to work for the first day since his accident at the end of season 9, when, if I remember correctly, God, that feels like so long ago, he broke protocol to rush into a burning building to save one of his firemen, and as a result, he got injured, and from there, he's been in recovery for maybe like a third of the season. And then, because we saw him when he had the cane and everything, and then he was on the couch in like a cast and whatnot. But then gradually he got better over time. We saw CJ walking like nothing was wrong. But now we're back to the storyline of him going to work again. And, Floyd comes in. Apparently he was there to fix a leaky faucet in the house somewhere, either in the kitchen or the bathroom. I forgot which one. But Ella's making chili for CJ to take to the firehouse. And from there, Floyd actually mentioned him being fire chief. And I thought he was the commissioner. And I looked it up. And apparently he was given the position of fire chief commissioner. I guess fire chief is the shorter way of saying it. Look, I don't know. I'm going to be honest here. Remember those later episodes, House of Payne? I really don't remember everything that happened in them, so if I'm wrong, my bad. But I was like, wait, I thought he was commissioner, not chief, but whatever. Now, after that, the next scene is CJ. I mean, for some strange reason, despite the fact that Ella just told everybody about the whole chili thing, here we have her in the living room and Floyd standing out there, and she mentions the chili again. So then CJ comes down to ask their opinion on what he should wear, like, if his pants should be, cuffed or not, and then what kind of socks he should wear. And as a sock fan, because I have a crap ton of crazy socks, Yeah, I did like I would have wore the socks with the, what was it, the balloon poodles. But yeah, it was just really dry. You could tell that he was really nervous. And I want to go ahead and talk about all the CJ stuff first, because the Calvin and Laura stuff in Miranda, that took place solely at his loft. So it felt completely detached from the actual episode. But we go over to CJ. I guess it's like SpongeBob the next day. CJ is dressed and ready to go. He forgets the chili, but he comes back to get it. Then he leaves again, but then he can't go. It's like before he can even crank up the engine in his car, it's almost like he has PTSD from the last time he was at work due to the accident. It's like, hey, the last time I went to work, that situation happened, and that's how I ended up, stretched out, injured. But then Floyd, and because he's as wise as he is comedic, he talked about the story of when he was in high school. There was a guy that said he would beat him up. So instead of going to take the beating because he didn't know if it was going to happen or not, he was afraid. He skipped school for 3 days. But then, he talked about how his dad would find out, and he was afraid of what his dad would do to him. So he went to that school, on that 4th day, went straight up to that bully, and he got his butt kicked. But that bully knew at that point that Floyd was no longer afraid of him. So the butt whooping was nowhere near as bad as the fear that had plagued him for those 3 days. So basically he tells CJ, control the fear, don't let it control you. And that was really great advice. So CJ leaves, and then he comes back looking pretty worse for wear, but he breaks it down saying, hey, the day, it kind of started off rocky, since it was my first day back in a while. But as the day went on, I got right back into the groove of it. And he said the reason he looked so bad when he stepped in after he got home from work was because of Ellis chili. So it's funny because the whole thing about Floyd was that he wanted some chili, but they ate every scrap of it. So there was none left for Floyd whatsoever. So it was good to see CJ, do his thing. But the opening part of the episode just dragged on a bit too much for me. But there was a good lesson, and that's honestly one of the main reasons this episode is above a 0. But then we go over to the loft, and oh boy, Calvin and Laura are looking at an article. I believe they're listed as one of the hottest couples, to keep an eye on, making it together in the business world and planning a destination wedding to Jamaica. And she wants to leave in a helicopter. It's like, it's like as chipper and energetic as Laura is, you got Miranda, who's just as bitter on the opposing side of that spectrum. But essentially, they are a bit pressed for money at the moment. So it's like, okay, if you want to do the helicopter thing, we would have to adjust a lot of things on the menu. But she decides, you know what, baby, you're right. Maybe it's a bit too much, but how about this? Let's go what we planned so far, and then make plans at basically, speaking of a helicopter, we're flying by the seat of our pants, so to speak. Whatever happens, happens. As long as we're together. I mean, you're going to have a wedding in Jamaica and everything. Damn, Calvin must be doing really well. Okay, so the last scene I want to talk about is, Miranda and Laura and Calvin sitting on the couch, and they're looking over some more plans about the photography and whatnot. And Miranda comes over. It turns out that she's come over to, I believe, pick up a new pair of shoes that Calvin bought for Christian. But then she also says, I'm here for something else. Oh, what's going on? I wanted to tell you this before you got the letter, but I'm requesting more in terms of increasing the child support. And I've had at least 2 conversations since I've watched the episode about what Miranda said. I am not disagreeing in regards, even Laura didn't disagree when she broke down why she's asking for it. There are those who say Laura shouldn't even intrude in the conversation. And that's true, this isn't her child. But the thing about it is, you can't tell me this wasn't done out of bitterness. Why all of a sudden is this letter coming after even it's like Calvin speaks for me. Calvin says exactly what I'm thinking. He basically said, why are you saying this? Or why are you doing this request for child support increase? Is this only because you saw that article about me and Laura in the paper about our wedding and everything like that. Well, yeah, it's like you're a successful social media employee and all this stuff, and you're going on this grand wedding, and how's it going to look to not pay support for your child? And he says, Miranda, you know I'm a good father. You need to tell me what this really is about. And Laura, even, again, this isn't her child. She has no stake in this, but when you think about it from the perspective of she's saying that their wedding day and their future plans are in jeopardy if she increased the child support, again, I see both sides of this, and even Miranda's like, are you telling me what, that wedding is more important than our son that me and Calvin have? Just like Danny on Sisters last week tried to call out Preston for white privilege when her ass got caught with another man in her apartment, your argument makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, I mean, I love Calvin when he said, I can't stand her ass. I'm like, that is hilarious. And in full Miranda fashion, instead of trying to talk things out, what does she do? She states what she's already going to do, what her plans are, questions Calvin's integrity, and just up and leaves. Just like she did when they were married. She decided to walk out. Miranda is a bitch. I don't care what you say. And I hate it because at the beginning of this season, I really loved it. I'm like, holy crap. I don't even recognize this Miranda from season 9, and I really like what they're doing. But here we have her out of the blue demanding more child support just because Calvin's doing better. It just, I cannot fathom what's going on here. And she makes the argument, well, here's the thing, Calvin, you say you're a good father. Well, what about every time that I have to readjust the schedule or I need to work? You don't want to watch Christian, and then you say not to go to your family for problems and everything. So what are you expecting to do? That makes no sense. I think this is truly the fault of what I've been saying for weeks, that the show is aired out of order. So when these characters act a certain way, I just do not understand where it's coming from. Miranda just popped into this episode with unnecessary drama. It's like Calvin said, it's like, what, you don't want to talk to Laura and I about, what's going on and why we can't do the child support increase now, but you didn't talk to me before you decided to increase the money. And that's a very good point. I mean, there's a difference between Calvin being a complete deadbeat father. I'm not watching my son. I'm getting married. I'm pouring all my money into this marriage. But no, he's providing for his son. And it's like, well, I think our son deserves, he needs the money to live the lifestyle that he deserves. Bullshit. And this is exactly why I am in no rush to have kids or even have kids at all. The only time I plan on having kids, knock on wood, I ain't trying to jinx it. The only time I plan to have a wife and then conceive children is if I am married. If I find the right woman, if I get married and I don't want kids right away, I'll tell you that right now, and then have children. But the whole child support thing is just bullshit. I think Miranda is pulling this stunt because she's still bitter. Bet money if the roles were reversed and it was her that was getting married, she wouldn't want to hear shit from Calvin. Seriously. I mean, like I said, if Calvin were a deadbeat, if he was immature in terms of how he was treating being a father, he was the one who was trying to work out co-parenting, and it was Miranda who was fighting every step of the way. And now he's getting married, and all of a sudden she wants to increase child support. And I just can't deal with this shit anymore. Miranda's full of it. I wish they would get rid of the character. It's ridiculous. This is one of those things where I'm like, why am I even still watching this damn show? Because it's just frustrating to watch it week to week. It really is. But speaking of things that don't make sense, so are we just forgetting about the Veronica storyline here from last week? I mean, a few episodes ago, Calvin, it was discovered that he has an online dating app. Remember when Miranda's phone chirped and then Calvin's phone chirped? It's like, wait, why would he have a dating app and if he's engaged? And last week, he subscribed to OnlyFans, and then he's making out with another woman, and now he's planning a wedding with his fiance. So If there's anybody from Tyler Perry Studios who could like help me out, if you can like give me, especially after next week when the finale's over and done with, if you could like tell me, hey Jeremy, this is the official list of how the episodes were supposed to air, then perhaps if I knew the order they were supposed to come out, I could understand the development. But I swear to you, I cannot believe that there's any other reason that Miranda is demanding more money other than the fact that she's just pissed off about them getting married. And that's all I got for the episode. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you want to donate child support. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next one.